Says the alleged father is not excluded as the biological father of the fetus.
That mean you're the father. Babe, that's mean you're the father.
Is not excluded.
You're the father.
That made me feel like I wasted my whole.
Oh.
Every time I'm going into bullshit like reality TV, thinking, oh, it's for Rock. It's for Rock. Rock gonna go crazy. You think anybody else?
Their connection seems to be at an all-time high, as new evidence indicates that Chan may have manufactured her baby's DNA test to confirm Blueface's paternity. But it seems like Chan has been thoroughly exposed, and because Blueface is exposing her for trying to baby trap him and dragging her for filth, this drama has the internet in a frenzy. If you thought their predicament was crazy, well, it now became even more insane.
They saying the baby ain't Blueface's, and Krishan liked it. Do y'all see the resemblance? That's the baby, and that's the ex-boyfriend. She got his height.
Alright, so it seems like the tension between Christian and Blueface has definitely peaked. I don't think anyone could have predicted these bizarre outcomes considering how awful their drama has been. Our expectations were already very low since, let's be honest, these two have a history of generating trouble on social media, making fun of each other, and even throwing their hands in public. Despite this, they constantly manage to outperform themselves. This mess is interesting because Blueface has been yelling from the rooftops that he is not the father since day one, and we all kind of dismissed it, assuming he was just being his messy self in search of drama. However, the situation is particularly dramatic because Kristen was recently exposed for allegedly falsifying her baby's DNA test, and Blueface is now reiterating his claim that he is not the father. Now, where is Maury? Cran swiftly refuted any paternity claims once she announced she was expecting, stating, "To answer your questions, yes, I and Rock are officially done. It's all business." I gave it a shot, but it was clearly not administered prior to her announcing that she was expecting someone else's child, not mine. I saw a DNA test and knew that Rock wasn't a blue-faced kid, even if he had dated 10 other men in the last year. He didn't express any legitimate concerns regarding anything like that, since he vehemently denied being the father and demanded that Chan get a DNA test to prove his paternity before he would accept the child as his own. After Chan eventually agreed to a DNA test, which showed that Blueface was the father, we watched this happen on the reality TV show.
The alleged father is not excluded as the biological father of the fetus.
That mean you're the father. Babe, that's mean you're the father.
Is not
You're the father.
Given that Blueface is Chan's father, we thought he would eventually grow up and treat Cran with more respect. We all know how awful Blueface is, so this isn't shocking. He didn't even pretend to feel bad for berating Chan, and his conduct only became worse. He then texted Chan in an offensive manner, saying things like, "I will always cheat. I won't even try to." Additionally, he made an effort to get her to terminate the pregnancy, but when she refused, he lost his mind and produced some rather bizarre drama. He said on Twitter that he would never pay child support, and that he didn't want the child. "Hide it for real," he said. "While I'm with the next little bee, you don't want to be cooped up at home with a baby. Having a baby will get us into trouble. Whoever is the judge in my child support case." He continued to express his disinterest in having a child with Cran for months after I informed this girl that I didn't want the child. He made her ponder about everything and caused her a lot of stress during their pregnancy. "You had better fix the price because she was insisting that I get rid of it. She was attempting to deceive me." Decisions to forego having the child. And he did not try to hide his lack of interest in doing so. This is where things get really juicy. Chan was in Miami having a fantastic time with his other baby mom, Jaden Alexis, commonly known as Stewie, when she went into labor. The instant her tiny bundle of joy made his dramatic arrival into the world, he suddenly changed his mind and began acting very apprehensive, even threatening to take action. The most unusual part of this whole affair is that Chan put the baby's first and last name instead of Blueface's name on the birth certificate. Thus, his full name is Chan Malone Jr. He would have taken the B away from Cran if she didn't follow his instructions. Given that Blueface's name is certificate, this caused several people to take notice. After all, Chan spent 9 months of her life trying to convince the world and Blueface. She made every effort to persuade him to agree to the notion of having a kid with her, even though he was the baby daddy. She then goes back and leaves his name off of the birth certificate. Is a little odd, but it might be explained by the fact that she mentioned that they had split up when she was pregnant. However, this is the point at which chaos ensues. A week after the kid was born, they got back together, and their relationship appeared to be going well. Blueface. They got along well because she even starred in Chris Sean's new music video. She flew to Baltimore to see him and the baby. They spent some time together as father and son after he met the infant. Gran posted a picture of the two of them together, along with the words, "Daddy and I." It didn't make much sense for her to not add him on the birth certificate at the time, but she did, and things finally reached a breaking point. A few days earlier, Blueface posted a picture of the baby's genitalia to show that he had a hernia, after they got into a heated argument on Twitter over his effort to accuse her of being an unfit mother. The baby still hasn't had the surgery for his hernia, and she is lying about him being healthy and not having a pee because of the hernia in his uterus. He tweeted in a series of criticisms directed at Chan for her inaction. I try to do the proper thing to keep things private, he continued, but this chick never stops talking. You're a crack baby, leave me alone. She is unfit. She has been delaying the operation, she has been missing appointments, and she is a poor mother. She is always talking about me and my SE on this site, and her genitalia are enormous. Go find someone else to ride after fixing our son, SE. To deter her from focusing on me, please tag her in all of her posts, on her page, and in any other way you can, in order for her to satisfy her desires. When I drove to Baltimore, I assumed it would be surgery, but they were discussing how she had missed the appointment and how this hacker was so irate that she had threatened to arrest him and put him in jail.
You're gonna go to jail, bro. Being a free man right now. Appreciate the time you got right now, because nigga, you're not finna be roaming the world like you thought you was going to be roaming the world.
She also claimed that Blueface's lack of a name for the child was the cause of her crazy behavior. I'm upset because he's a Chrisen Jr. but not a Jonathan Jr., she tweeted. Since I named my child after myself, let them know how you would like to take him. He's a manipulator, and I'm stuck with him. Think I'm sluggish or unintelligent. And please, Blue, don't use my child as leverage. Instead, care more about your probation. I have documents. This kind of raised the question of why she is reluctant to legally identify Blueface as the child's father, Jonathan Porter. Ultimately, she was ready to obtain a... The situation became more heated when Chan's ex-boyfriend came forward and said that Chan had been lying to us the whole time. He shared side-by-side pictures and said that the kid was actually his child, rather than Blueface's. She may have falsified the DNA test during her pregnancy, it turns out. Thank God in advance because this stuff is getting crazy, he responded, adding pictures of himself and the child to show how similar they seem. You are not the father, Blueface, he added. Chan also seemed to back up the allegations when she discussed on social media how her ex was Blueface's baby daddy. Given that the man claiming the child lives in Bayore and you and the purported father reside in Los Angeles, why would you have a child in Bayore? They have a similar appearance. I don't think that's my baby, but Twitter said that I nuded with something off. When I read about the DNA test, I thought it was a little odd. It looked phony. It was an uncontrollable test. More similar than I am. He continued by saying, I have a baby mama and 2 kids until further notice. The best news I got all year. And I'm free. He added, I didn't even think about the paper being folded up. And remarked on how odd it was that the DNA results were already available when Chan handed them to him. And attacked. Since it would be better to keep Blueface out of her life until he got another paternity test and put his name on the birth certificate. If I were Christian at this point, I would have pretended that it wasn't his child either. The yet. Drama has these individuals trembling in the streets and saying all sorts of things, and the Maury test never looks like that. He's only going to drag that girl through the legal system paper. Additionally, I would engage in the you're not the father game. You're doing the most, and you don't deserve this. Therefore, this is to protect this baby. I think Cran Blueface and Cran X are to blame for the fact that he will have gray hair before he is elderly. A DNA test is required of Ronnie in order to get proof to prove who the baby's father is and let the world know that this entire Cran and Blueface joke is getting old. How do you all feel about Cran? Do you think she's merely attempting to protect herself and her child from Blueface revealing your identity? Or did she truly lie about being a father? If you believe this drama was crazy, you should watch it. Tell us what you think in the